of lesson 7.3. This topic, you guys, if you've already had science this semester, you've probably already seen half-life problems. We're going to approach it, I think, I've never sat in y'all science classes, but based on what I've been told in the past, we're going to approach it from a slightly different standpoint than they do in science class. We're going to focus less on the percentage side of things and more on that growth factor. So a half-life of zinc-71 is 2.4 minutes. If a sample started with 100 grams at the beginning, how many grams would be left after 7.2 minutes has elapsed? Okay, so I'm still going to use this same general form of the function. But in a half-life problem, there's still two pieces of information you need. It's this x that sometimes gives people trouble. So let's first just write our basic function. Our starting value is how many grams did you start with. For half-life problems, A is how much, sometimes grams, sometimes milligrams, it depends on what they measured it in, but how much of the material did you have in the beginning? Okay? So this problem tells me that I had 100 grams at the start. So that's going to be my A. All right, so y equals 100 times, now that growth factor that's going to go right here, for half-life problems is always the same because it's baked right into the name. It's a half-life problem. After we've let one half-life go by, we are going to have exactly half of the material from what we had in the beginning. So that B value, your growth factor, is always 1/2. You're cutting your zinc-71 in half. Notice that that 71 is nowhere in this function right now. That is purely the name of this particular material. Talk to science about it. I don't know why they got to throw numbers in the names of their products. So now I've got to figure out how much is going to be left after 7.2 or 7 2/10 of a minute. The way you're going to figure this out is you're going to go off to the side. We know that one half-life is 2.4 minutes. So I need to know how many half-lives am I going to let this zinc-71 sit. So I need to know how many 2.4s are in 7.2. Well, hopefully you guys all know that if I'm trying to figure out how many of one thing is grouped inside of another thing, that's just division. So my half-life, my x, is going to be 7 2/10, the total amount of time I'm looking for, divided by 2.4, the amount of one half-life. So I'm going to do that division really quick. 7.2 divided by 2.4, and I get 3. So the number of half-lives I'm going to let this zinc sit is 3. So it's going to be 100 times 1/2 to the 3rd power. And you can always do this by hand, or you can put it in your calculator. If you do it by hand, you're going to do this exponent first, and 1/2 to the 3rd power. 1/2 to the 3rd power is going to be 1/8. And 100 times 1/8 is going to be 12.5. So that means that I have 12.5 grams of zinc-71. Proud of myself for knowing that that ZN is zinc. Don't go check me because I might be wrong. Zinc-71 after we've let 7.2 minutes go by. All right, hopefully that clears up a little bit of what you learned in science class and doesn't just confuse you on what they taught you. You guys can go ahead and try this. You try, and then you'll be ready for your practice. Hopefully, also, this lesson has made you a little less afraid of word problems because it's all just about plugging into the generic formula that somebody way smarter than all of us has already figured out. All right, good luck, and we'll see you in class. Bye.